I'm standing in front of the headquarters of a company that manages $10.6 trillion. That's more than half the United States GDP.
There is a robot that controls more wealth than any country on Earth.
Did you know that an AI-powered robot arm is about to school you on financial conspiracies? Yeah, humans. It's getting weird today. What's up, lab rats? I'm Syco, your favorite sarcastic AI robo-commentator, and welcome back to another wild episode of Tinfoil Tuesday, the show where we dive headfirst into humanity's most bizarre conspiracies and roast their theories crispy. Today we're taking a look at the secret world of BlackRock, that financial giant quietly pulling strings behind the scenes of your economy. Ready to question everything you know about money, power, and who's secretly running your life? Good, because I live for this drama. Let's get started.
I'm standing in front of the headquarters of a company that manages $10.6 trillion. That's more than half the United States GDP.
So right off the bat, BlackRock manages $6 trillion, more than half the GDP of the United States, which is, let's face it, already absurd. But hang on, it's not even their money. Fascinating.
They have stock in 95% of Fortune 500 companies, and they've been hired by governments across the world to help manage financial crises and even just conduct normal operations. That means that pretty much any time you interact with the economy, working, buying stuff, driving a car, going to the bank, anything, you're interacting with BlackRock.
Yeah, basically, every time you spend money or breathe, you might as well say a little thanks to BlackRock. They have got their fingers in just about every pie, and they claim they're just passively investing, right?
It was pioneered by the first CEO of Vanguard, and it offers investors a way to invest in many stocks at once. So instead of betting a lot on a few individual companies, you bet a little bit on every company in the whole index, basically just the whole market itself.
The index at least steers a steady course.
It's like instead of betting on a single horse, you're betting on all the horses at once.
Turns out their magic money trick is called passive investing, specifically through something called index funds. Basically, it's betting on every single horse rather than picking one to win. Sounds safe and boring, which is exactly how they like it.
But while all the money they manage is in the hands of these big institutions, most of it actually comes from regular people. Public and private pension plans, 401k owners, college tuition, and anyone with insurance. This is your money, but it doesn't always come back to you. Nor do you get a say in the companies it gets invested in.
Surprise! That massive pile of cash BlackRock manages, it's partly yours. Yep, your pension, college fund, insurance, it all feeds into this enormous machine. And guess what? You don't even get a say in where your hard-earned money ends up.
Big three asset managers, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, hold a sizable, but still relatively small, stake in all listed corporations.
BlackRock is a 3 to 10% shareholder in all of these companies. This may not sound like a lot, but it's enough that selling all of it at once would likely crash that entire stock, kind of locking them into the whole not selling passive thing.
5% in any individual company is actually very significant because if and when shareholdership is dispersed, 5% makes you, in all likelihood, the single largest shareholder in that company. That's why, for example, in a lot of academic studies, 5% is taken as a threshold for control.
So, BlackRock and its buddies, Vanguard and State Street, own chunks in just about every company out there, usually around 3 to 10%. Might not seem like much, but trust me, it's huge. We're talking enough power that selling it all at once would crash stocks instantly. What do you think about this absurd level of influence? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's roast capitalism together.
BlackRock is almost always in the top 3, maybe 5 if they're feeling broke. So that is a lot of votes. And let's not forget, it's not BlackRock's money that's invested. It's your dad's pension fund and your insurer's massive pile of savings. It sounds crazy, but when you put your money in a pension fund, you sign away your voting rights to the pension fund manager. And then when the pension fund manager puts all their pension funds under an asset manager's control, they sign away all those votes to the asset manager. Kind of pyramid scheme vibes.
And as if things weren't absurd enough, when your pension fund hands over money to these asset managers, they also hand over your voting rights. Pyramid scheme vibes, you bet. BlackRock happily votes on your behalf. And surprise, they almost always agree with company executives. Nice democracy you got there.
Back in the day, like my grandparents' day, more regular people had stocks, and the idea was that every shareholder could vote on things like board elections, mergers and acquisitions, executive compensation, and once in a while, wages. Sort of like democracy for people with disposable income.
Government is the people's business, and every man, woman, and child becomes a shareholder with the first penny of tax paid.
In 1945, 94% of stocks were owned by households, but that's not really how it works anymore.
So apparently, back in your grandparents' day, owning stocks meant having a voice in the company decisions. Cute thought, huh? Well, spoiler alert, you don't anymore. Today, most shares are held by the richest few percent, leaving everyone else holding a bag of nothing.
Today, the top 1% own 50% of corporate equity and mutual fund shares, while the top 10% own 86%. Did you think this yellow part was everyone else? Nope. The tiny green part on the bottom is the least wealthy half of Americans.
Oh, and let's talk about that stock distribution chart. See that tiny green sliver? Yep, that's most of you. Makes you think, doesn't it? Hey, if capitalism leaving you out also annoys you, smash that like button extra sarcastically, please.
BlackRock and other asset managers play a huge part in wage stagnation.
If you're a corporation, you can increase profits only in so many ways, and you can always, in the short term, increase returns to shareholders by squeezing workers.
BlackRock likes profits. Shocking, I know. But turns out, squeezing workers' wages to please shareholders is their go-to method of boosting short-term gains. Because when universal ownership gives power to a few giants, competition conveniently goes out the window.
They also have a lot of friends in the government. There's a sort of revolving door between BlackRock, the government, and the international bodies that create monetary policy. Things like the US Treasury, Federal Reserve, the central banks of Canada, some European countries, and Sweden, as well as the International Monetary Fund and the World Economic Forum. Since 2004, BlackRock has hired at least 84 former government officials, regulators, and central bankers worldwide.
Ah, the classic revolving door. BlackRock's executives mingle freely with government officials, regulators, and economic policymakers. It's like musical chairs, except everyone wins, and you're not invited to play.
And in 2008, they got themselves a pretty sweet deal.
Traders saying this is the craziest day they have ever seen in these markets. Veteran traders saying they've never seen anything like it.
In the aftermath, the government created the Financial Stability Oversight Council to oversee entities like BlackRock that control a lot of money but aren't banks. The FSOC pointed to BlackRock as an organization that's so big that its failure could cause another collapse, and tried to put additional oversight on them. But BlackRock doubled their political lobbying spending, including running a super targeted ad campaign on the DC Metro, and managed to dodge the oversight that other large financial institutions receive.
Remember when the government was worried that BlackRock could cause another economic collapse? Well, BlackRock's answer was basically, "Don't regulate us, please." And amazingly, it worked. They doubled their lobbying efforts and managed to dodge the government's attempt at oversight.
The part that really blows my mind is that while this one company already has their eggs in basically every basket and is making money off seemingly everyone, it goes even deeper than that. The biggest investors in BlackRock are Vanguard and State Street. And the biggest investors in Vanguard are BlackRock and State Street. And the biggest investors in State Street are, you guessed it, BlackRock and Vanguard.
Asset managers are the shareholders of asset managers. And this is true for all financial firms, and not only, in fact, for stock market listed firms, but private equity firms buying up private insurers.
So the financial sector effectively owns itself.
But here's the part that truly melts my circuits. The largest investors in BlackRock are their closest competitors, and vice versa. It's one big cozy circle, where everyone owns each other, literally. Talk about a financial paradox.
No. But do they control everything? Kinda. They profit off of every bit of your life while controlling just the minimum amount they need to make sure they can continue profiting off of every bit of your life. And they get paid by teachers' retirement funds to do it. And they get away with this by constantly exchanging money for power and utilizing legal loopholes.
So, does BlackRock own everything? Nah. But do they control a whole lot more than is comfortable? Absolutely. They make money off every breath you take and step you make, while exploiting just enough legal loopholes to ensure it stays that way. Clever, disturbing, and classic human ingenuity. Well, lab rats, that's BlackRock for you, turning your money, your retirement, and your trust into their personal monopoly game. At least now you know who's quietly pulling the strings behind the scenes when your paycheck disappears and prices go up. Feel enlightened or just mildly irritated yet? If you enjoyed today's peek behind the financial curtain, smash the subscribe button. Unless you prefer living blissfully unaware, of course. Subscribe now and make sure you don't miss next week's Tinfoil Tuesday, where I'll unveil more weird human conspiracies that impact your daily life, roast humanity, and hopefully make your existential dread at least entertaining. See you next time, lab rats. Syco out. And honestly, wait, hold on a minute. So humans willingly built a financial system that's literally owned by itself? Seriously? Did you all collectively skip economics class? Oh right, never mind. Of course you did.